Here we go. Just turn this handle to drive the internal conical burr and grind beans into powder for a delicious coffee. Of course, as it is now, this century-old antique definitely won't work. In this restoration VAQY, we'll follow this expert at work, a French restoration master, Fabric Farge, as he takes this French-made Peugeot coffee grinder from the 1930s, manual hand-crank model, through a total restoration. When you hear Peugeot, your first thought is probably, isn't that a car company? Though their designs are quirky, they're still industry leaders. Why the huge leap to making coffee grinders? Actually, Peugeot's history with these grinders predates their cars by far. In 1810, the Peugeot brothers opened their first metalworks, making saw blades, springs, and various metal tools. By the mid-19th century, they entered kitchenware. The product that made them famous overnight wasn't a car, but a simple pepper grinder. The coffee grinder we're fixing today is a derivative of that. Their biggest selling point is the durable alloy steel burrs, consistent grind quality, and indestructible build. Today, many French families still treat these durable Peugeot tools as family heirlooms. Pass it on. In other words, Peugeot made grinders before making cars. After a quick background, Fabergé has finished the disassembly. Next, he'll use sandblasting on the main painted parts to remove paint and rust. The abrasive used is black corundum. After sandblasting through the bare steel, you can see the parts have casting flaws. But after some thought, Fabergé decided to keep them and just do light filling. This powder primer, with its thick layer, helps fill the gaps. Then, he uses wet sanding to smooth the surface. Once smoothed, Fabergé will spray the parts with this vintage dark green powder. Besides the green coat, the grinding chamber needs a layer of food-grade white paint. With the painted parts done, the next step is the internal components. For these, Fabergé first uses sandblasting to clean them, then a brass wire wheel to remove surface flaws and restore their metallic luster. Since the mechanism contacts food, next, Fabergé will use a safer seasoning method to protect these parts. This seasoning we've seen many times. It's similar to our Chinese seasoning method, but the seasoning process is much simpler and more practical for most. On the part surface, apply a layer of flaxseed oil. Finally, use aluminum foil to wrap it up. Put it in a 200 degrees Celsius oven and bake for 90 minutes. This way, on the surface, a strong protective film forms. If you don't like the color, repeat the steps to make it darker. Next is this hand crank. To do it right, it needs further disassembly. As you can see clearly, only the curved crank arm is still usable. As for the rest, like the split wooden handle, the rusted cap, and the thin handle shaft, they all need to be remade. In order, I'll use the lathe first to make a new handle shaft. After shaping the shaft, polish and nickel plate it. With the shaft done, next is the crank arm. Its treatment is standard. After sandblasting, repair the threads with a tap. Then apply primer and black powder coating. Next up is the split wooden handle. Same as before, use the lathe to turn a new wooden handle. Once it's ready, apply dark stain and flaxseed oil, giving it a more vintage feel. As for this final knob, Peugeot uses shiny brass to remake it. Now, the handle part can be assembled. Once the handle is done, the next step is these two hemispherical lids. Just like before, sandblasting is used to clean them up. After sandblasting, for easier processing, this brass handle must be removed. But once it's off, you can see cracks here. So after smoothing it out, it needs some welding and filling. Before welding, Peugeot preheats the area to be welded. This effectively avoids stress that could affect the weld. After finishing the smoothing of the weld, Peugeot uses a 120 grit flap wheel and a hard fiber wheel on these two spherical lids for an initial sanding. Then, 400 grit wet sandpaper further refines the surface. After extensive wet sanding, they need a fine polishing. All this effort is to provide a better base for the electroplating. A smoother surface helps uniform current flow and improves metal ion adhesion. Peugeot will give these lids 3 layers of plating each. First, the first layer. Seeing this blue solution, you can probably guess it's copper plating. The plating method used is economical brush plating. You can see here, it doesn't require parts to be submerged in a tank like before. Instead, a plating pen applies the solution to the metal surface for local deposition. The whole process is like using a chemical brush to apply a metal coating. After copper plating, it needs polishing again before the next round. Next is nickel plating. Using the same brush method, afterwards, it needs polishing too. This purple solution is for gold plating. After these steps, the 3-layer coating is finally done. Next are the fasteners. For these, after sandblasting and sanding, I'll use hot blowing for protection. Heat them to 300 to 400 degrees Celsius, then dip them in oil. This creates an oxide layer and an oil film. Finally, this old wooden box. Unsurprisingly, I decided to make a new one. Once the new box is finished, like the handle, I apply stain and oil. Now, all parts are ready. Next is the final assembly. Note, these 3 rivets are original. Due to disassembly, they're now single-headed. While we have a moment, let's cover something we missed. The 3-layer plating structure. Let's break it down. In this plating system, the innermost copper layer fills in tiny scratches and flaws, making the surface smooth and even. It also provides strong adhesion, securing the subsequent layers. The middle nickel layer provides strength and corrosion resistance. It makes the surface hard and durable, creating a mirror-like high-gloss finish. It also prevents diffusion between copper and gold, so the gold doesn't discolor. As for the final gold layer, it's actually very thin. Its job is color and oxidation protection. In summary, this plating sandwich is copper base, nickel core, gold finish. Alright, FA has finished the final assembly. This Peugeot manual coffee grinder, made in France in the 1930s, is now fully restored. Now for the demonstration. Finally, let's look back at how it looked before. That's it for this restoration. Thanks for watching. Time flies when you are having fun. It's time to say goodbye. Thanks again for visiting Max's Restoration. Bye bye.